welcome to Subjective Thoughts. And our comic for today is Watchmen by DC. Now there is violence, killing, murder, blood, fighting, shooting, weird scientific shit, a giant monster, and more violence in this one. So if you are in any way squeamish, you have been warned. Also, spoilers. Alright, so here's the team. Now, this is another one of my pile of I started a bloody long time ago and never got back to. This one I started in 2022 and finishing now before the end of 2025. Today's the 13th of December. Yeah, it is in my pile. I decided recently to finally finish it. So yes, so Watchmen, I'm sure many of you know the story. It's another one of those quite well-known ones, like Batman, The Death in the Family, and what else, like Lock and Key, Superman's Death, The Killing Joke. Yeah, well, one of those, and I do like to pick those up and read them and see what I think about them. And this is another one of those. Yeah, I think I got it probably in 2022. I just don't remember from where. Alright, let's get into it. So this is the bloody long one. It's like 400-something pages. My God. And I made the mistake really early on reading it of not just reading a chapter a day, or an issue a day. In this case, it's 12 issues. I think if I'd done that, I would have finished it a lot earlier, but I tried reading it, like, just as one story, but I found it so hard to do. But anyway, so the story, as I understand it, we have, I guess, a cynical look at superheroes. And I'm not really sure till the end what's the point of the story. What is it trying to tell? Admittingly, a lot of it went over my head, I'm sure. It's like Mr. Metarock said, there's just so many references here that I probably didn't understand because, well, I'm not from America. And I wasn't even born at the time when this stuff came out. But anyway, so we got the story. It basically starts with the death of the comedian. Is he here? I think that might be the comedian over there. See? Maybe. Yeah, I think maybe that's him. That might be him. That's not Hooded Justice. So it begins with the comedian's murder. He was this superhero, now works for the government. It basically revolves around all of these characters. You got Nit Owl, or Night Owl, but spelled differently. You got Ozymandias here. You got Rorschach, Silk Spectre, and Dr. Manhattan. So it revolves around them. There used to be superheroes, but then in 1977 they were outlawed. So Silk Spectre, or Laurie, that lives with John, has basically retired and just lives with him. Nit Owl also retired, but Rorschach continued to investigate things. And throughout the story, he investigates, the comedian's murder, who could have killed him. It basically revolves around just following all of them. Something's going on. It just goes back and forth, especially with Dr. Manhattan here. Because we get his origin story and how he became Dr. Manhattan. He was a science facility. He forgot his watch in this chamber that disintegrates things, and then he got disintegrated. But then he recreated himself and became Dr. Manhattan. So he's no longer human. He's now blue balls. He's all blue. So then he essentially becomes America's top weapon. stopping wars, working alongside the comedian, because, again, all the superhero stuff broke down, but he's allowed to because he works for the government. And it gets to a point where he's accused of giving cancer to people that he worked with, so he fucks off out of the earth, and things go into crisis, because, oh shit, now we don't have a weapon, and Russia's about to attack and all that. Meanwhile, Rorschach investigates all of this. What's going on? Who's behind the mass killer? Dan's kind of involved because Rorschach is coming to see him a lot. And then we got Ozymandias here. So it all basically comes down to there is a plot here. Someone purposefully made it seem like John gave people cancer or Dr. Manhattan so he would leave. And that same someone made it seem like Rorschach killed a man named Mulch. So Rorschach is arrested and they finally know who he is. And he goes to prison, but later Laurie and Dan, or Nital, they go and bust him out. But then John returns, takes Laurie with him to Mars to talk. So what it turns out all to be is this is a plan that's been in work for a decade. By this asshole right here. So his whole plan was he wants to make a utopia by killing a lot of people. But then that killing's gonna work in a sense of it's going to unite the world. Or the world, so it's going to unite the nations kind of thing. So what he does is he gets all these scientists, writers, artists, all cases of where it seems like they just disappeared. And throughout there's the one of the writers that he takes, he wrote this comic and we got a kid at a newsstand that continuously reads it throughout. So he got all these people to create him this monster, and they all think it's for some kind of movie. And then he took up someone's brain and engineered it to be in this monster. And so when he teleported it and it killed a shit ton of people, half of New York. Was that half of New York. And then it would keep sending images to people that it was an alien invasion. And then there would be unity, according to this wacko. So he's done all this. He's the one who murdered the comedian, because the comedian found out about his plan, but wasn't gonna do anything. So he's a fucking nut job. And now Rorschach and Nital find all this out, and then they go to Antarctica. Yeah, Antarctica or the North Pole? North Pole? I think Antarctica. To his hideout there. Now he's obsessed with Egyptians and shit, and he kills his 3 servants by giving them some kind of drink that paralyzes them, and then he freezes them to death when he opens this sort of dome of a greenhouse. Basically, they're fucking dead. Rorschach and Nital reach him, and they find out, and he's like, this is crazy, we're gonna stop you, and then it's too late. Before they even arrive, you already pushed the button. This giant fucking monster, squid monster that he created, was already teleported, and the teleportation caused, this effect where things exploded around, so a lot of fucking people died. Basically. And also, what else that's what that was supposed to do. Oh yeah, and all those artists and shit, and that he took, and scientists, he killed them too. They all thought they were going away from that island finally, and they were going to be rich. They ended up, he puts an explosive in the ship that takes them, and they all fucking die. Womp womp. And that's it. It's shit. Okay, John arrives with Laurie back to Earth. They know what Ozymandias did because they first go to New York and they see the carnage. Then they go to Ozymandias' place. He's there. Now, because it's something he did, some kind of device, John can't see the future. Like, he can see parts of the future, the past, all that shit. But this device that he made scrambles all of that, so he can't know. He takes Laurie up with him to Mars to convince him to save the human race. Even though John thinks there's no point, but then he decides to do it because Laurie is a scientific miracle. Because her mother, the first Silk Spectre, and the comedian, he's her real father. But, you see, back when the Silk Spectre was still a hero, and they did all this, he attempted to rape her. But then the Hooded Justice saved her, and apparently the Hooded Justice and another hero that was with them, they were actually gay. And she was pretending to date the Hooded Justice. Okay?
What the fuck is happening?
So, yes, he saved her from being raped by Blake, the comedian. So, then John's like, Dr. Manhattan, the probability, of your mother sleeping with him again after that is just a scientific miracle, and of, you being born of all the little sperms that swim. Okay, sure. I mean, I suppose he has a point. I guess. Okay. So, there's that. So, yeah, they arrive. Adrian, or Ozymandias here, tries to disintegrate him, killing his experimental bobcat thing along, but John has learned to, if he's disintegrated, to rebuild his body. So then he breaks in, but then they have a problem here. If they imagine what would happen if they would expose Adrian's, what he's done. If the world knows that he did that, there would be war, chaos. Not to mention America will probably be blamed because of this asshole. And so they have to keep quiet. Dr. Manhattan thinks it's the only logical thing to do. Nital and Laurie have no choice but to agree. So they'll keep quiet, but Rorschach doesn't agree to be quiet. Now, before he and Dan left for Antarctica, he deposited his journal in the mail. So this isn't all over yet, yeah? Right, so Rorschach leaves, Dr. Manhattan follows him, and then he basically kills him. Because in his mind, he can't allow Rorschach to tell the world. Which is, I thought he didn't, really give a shit, so I don't understand why he killed him. Ozymandias here doesn't really worry, because who would trust Rorschach? And so he thinks, that's it, I'm gonna make my utopia. My God, I wanted to punch him in the face. Anyway, so that's it. He goes to his chamber to meditate. Or shove his fingers up his ass, who knows. Laurie and Dan, they go somewhere to sit, and then they have sex. After all the horror Laurie watched, just needs some human contact. John goes to see Ozymandias one more time before he leaves. And Ozymandias like, I did the right thing, didn't I, John, right? It's all worked out. And then John just leaves him with saying, nothing ever ends. And Ozymandias like a bit nervous, like, wait, John, what do you mean? Nothing ever ends. Dr. Manhattan, old blue balls, decided to fuck off to another universe and maybe make his own people. I don't know. So that's it. Then we go to Lori and Dan. They go visit Lori's mother. They're in hiding now. I don't know why. Well, to be fair, they're not going to tell the world about what this asshole did, so I guess that's not a problem. But then, yeah, like they're going to go back to being superheroes, but they're under false names. And the mom yells like, don't wait too long to have children. I'm an old woman. And Lori also tells her that she knows that the comedian was her father. Then we'd see her mother, Miss Jupiter, go kisses an old photograph of all of them while Blake was young. Well, they all were young. And then she's crying. And then we go to, now there's this one newspaper publication that Rorschach reads and follows. And they're the ones he sent his journal to. Now, there's only two people there, like the boss, I guess the editor, and then his employee, Seymour. Now, they received the journal prior to that, but then they put it, like, in the pile of stuff to get thrown out, and then, because now the whole world peace and blah, blah, they're not allowed to talk bad about the Russians. So, Seymour is told to pick something from the junk pile and write an article about it that would fill 2 pages. And then, he's decide for yourself, I'm putting this all on you. And so then we see him looking, and then there's Rorschach's journal. And that's it. And that's where it ends. Now, to be fair, I don't remember a lot from the beginning because I started reading this like 3 years ago. Right, so cover, this is, I think, a much later edition, because you see it got the new DC logo right there. Right, yeah, I mean, it's yellow. I'm not thrilled about that, but, I guess it's a fine cover. Okay, let me pick this thing up. Okay, let me show you some. Well, it's a bit violent, but you see we got, this is when the comedian is murdered. You see he's thrown out of the window. I will say the art is really good here. I like the style. One of the strong points of this, I will say. And I won't show you too much. Just a couple of pages. I see, there's Rorschach. There's Dan. Dan's kind of like a soft Batsy, basically. He's also quite wealthy, and he builds things. Yeah, he's also based on a nightly creature that flies, and except he doesn't have dead parents. Well, not murdered parents. Anyway, there's Adrian. Yeah, I like this art style. The colors are really good. Okay, there's Blue Balls. He did have a costume, but I guess he decided to walk around naked. There's Lori. I don't know. Maybe it's not comfortable for him to wear clothes. I have no clue. Oh, okay, Jesus. Alright, so that was their Watchmen. Now, Chris, we talked about this years ago, may he rest in peace, told me that with Watchmen, you either love the story or you hate it. Now, I'm in the middle. Like, I don't hate it, I don't love it. I mean, it was interesting to a degree, but I think, again, like Mr. Metarock said, because I don't know all these references, all this history, it just, all this flew over my head. I was just reading it, but I didn't really understand it. So it's just, if you don't, this kind of story, it just probably takes away a lot of it. And really, the only characters I cared about was Rorschach and Nittow. I mean, Lori was okay. Blue Balls was fine. I mean, yeah, it's hard to him to relate to the human condition, considering he's no longer human, doesn't seem to think like one anymore either. Comedian was also interesting and how fucked up and violent he is, to be fair. And Zemandes is a boring asshole. I mean, I don't know. I didn't care about him in the beginning, but I started to really hate him more and more as I was getting to the end. It's like, oh my god. Just get on with it, mate. So, okay, so he wants to, the whole thing is I'm gonna create this utopia by killing half of New York and making people think it was a bloody alien invasion. I mean, it's quite the plan, to be fair, but it's just, like, what? I mean, he's the smartest man in the world, right? I don't know if he has any superpowers, but he's very, very smart. But it's just, you know, when I was still in school, I learned English, and my teacher, she actually let me read, we studied the poem Ozymandias. And in the poem, like, look here, you know, and all the great things I've done, but then nothing's left out of them. I wonder, to be fair, that was the point of naming him that, you know, he's this ironic character that is gonna build all this shit, but is gonna end up being forgotten. Like, he thinks this is gonna hold on, but all I could think of was, okay, but for how long? And do you honestly think there wouldn't be some people that would be suspicious? That would think that maybe the Americans did it, or the Russians did it, or some other nation did it? Like, eventually someone would start thinking that, even with all the nightmares you installed for them now. And then what? And what if another war broke again? I'm sorry, mate, but this is humanity we're talking about here. A war is bound to happen one way or another at some point. I mean, I'm not saying peace is impossible, but it's possible, but for a time. I think it's just in human nature that fighting and wars will always be there. It's never going to go fully away. There's always going to be something, so him being this optimistic that his plan is going to work is stupid. And for how long? I mean, he's not immortal. He's going to die one day, and then what? Does he think his legacy is going to be upheld? No, it's not. It's not going to be upheld. And then it might deteriorate a lot faster than he thinks, especially with Rorschach's journal. And then what he's going to do? He's going to go and kill the publicist and kill kill that little paper? And then what happens when everyone finds out? He's essentially gonna fuck up his whole plan because, again, think about it. They'll find out that he did it. And I'm sure a lot of countries are gonna blame America because this is your superhero. You know, you're responsible for this one. And then war's gonna break out. And then everything he's done was for nothing. I mean, I don't know. It's just the fact that was the whole plan. I'm going to unite everyone by killing, 3 million people. I mean, I don't understand this guy's logic. How in his mind, and he's the smartest man, does this... Because Night Owl and Rorschach talk about, why would he do this? And was it Rorschach? I think he said maybe he's a lunatic. Then in a way, I think with, really super smart people, maybe they are in a sense crazy. Imagine being so smart that you understand all these things. It probably to some degree terrifies you sometimes. Doesn't it? I mean, you understand all these things, you see all these statistics, but, where is your emotional intelligence and all of that? I mean, the fact that he so easily just murdered 3 million people, murdered all that crew of scientists, artists, musicians that he took. murdered his 3 servants that were loyal to him. I mean, just that he did that alone is just... And for what? And then John just killing Rorschach. Just like that. Arguably, Rorschach, I think, is the best thing that came out of Watchmen. So there's that. I wish there was, I wish this focused mainly on Rorschach. Because I would have loved to read the series about him, honestly. Like, we can skip him, we can skip him, we can skip her. Maybe we can have Dan in there, but yeah, Rorschach. Definitely Rorschach. Alright, so that's... I don't know what really else I have to say. I mean, in the end, it was okay. I didn't really care for the... Yeah, I didn't... I guess to say I didn't care for the plot too much. But, yeah, that was it. So that was my... by the way, as you know, this was written by Alan Moore. I also read Killing Joke, and I just also didn't get the hype. And I don't get it here. I mean, I get the whole, it's like the cynical look on superheroism, I suppose. But, I wish there was a series about Rorschach. Like back then, and that's what they would have written. Because that would have been, to be fair, a lot more interesting than, this. But again, it depends. That's just my opinion in the end. I know a lot of people probably did love this one. And if you get all the references in there, I'm sure that's much more enjoyable. That's my dog there. If you hear talking, it's my grandma. But yeah, that's it. So that was my opinion of Watchmen. It was okay. I am not going to reread this one ever again. Once was enough. Thank you. And that is it. I'll be getting rid of this one finally. I'm so glad I finished it. Alright, folks, so that is it. Let me know what you thought of Watchmen. If you liked it, if you didn't. Let me think, did I forget anything? I think I said everything I wanted. Alright, remember, collect what you're passionate about and share it on YouTube. Bye!